Yeah, Revelation chapter 13. Amen. Revelation chapter 13, brother. Yes. And I'll have a start in verse 11. We've got the second beast, who I believe here is a man. And I believe he is the false prophet, based on Revelation 20 and verse 9, or 19 and verse 20, if I'm not mistaken. All right. So Revelation 13 and verse 11. That's what the Bible says. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So this article came my way, well, from Now the End Begins. Now, it didn't come my way, I just happened to see it in my inbox. Now, a few years ago, the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, Bo and I, who's no longer in the church, but Bo and I, we went to the protest at the Queen's Park there, and we used it as a witnessing tool, witnessing opportunity to evangelize and to preach, and we got to meet a lot of people there. And the good thing is, with that setting, there were actually people listening to what we had to say from the Bible. And I remember discussing with a few gentlemen, well, it was a few people. It was a gentleman, I think Joshua was one of them, by the way, who was visiting this church with his wife, Miranda, and there was another gentleman there, if I'm not mistaken. And we were talking about the end times. And I had just finished watching Billy Crone's, it was a 30-part series called Hybrids and Super Soldiers in the Coming Genetic Apocalypse. And in the first 4 parts of that, Billy Crone really went into detail on the history of eugenics, and he went right up through transhumanism. And the final part was an interview with a geneticist for 2 hours, and she went into basically she went into detail into epigenetics, into gene editing, with even CRISPR-Cas9, where they can, with precision, remove genes and then obviously replace those genes with something else, another gene. And of course, she was explaining as well that even though they can do this and we have the technology to do this, what they don't know, and what they probably will never know, is that if you remove a gene, you don't know 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, if there's another gene that is dependent on that gene, it will be activated. They don't know that. So anyhow, with that conversation, we were talking about the end times. We're talking about Revelation 13 here. We're talking about the mark of the beast. And throughout that whole documentary series, it started to become clear to me that with artificial intelligence, with the brain-machine interface, the brain chip that they're talking about, and Elon Musk also owns Neuralink as well. And there are other companies as well, which basically want to implant a chip into your brain so that they can connect you to the Internet of Things, or people, that's what they call it. And in that, they'll sell it as, basically something, say if you're paralyzed, with this, you'll have the capacity to walk. And there's so many other things attached to it. And they'll also sell some of the perks. For instance, you want to learn Japanese because you're going on a trip to Japan, they can download that to your brain. That's where we're going. And you'll know how to speak Japanese, and so on and so forth. Anyhow, so basically I look at it as Satan's counterfeit of God's omniscience, as well as omnipresence and even omnipotence to a degree. It's a counterfeit. It's a counterfeit. It's one way they can get into your head, implant thoughts, know what you're thinking 24/7. See, Satan is a created being. He does not have that power, so he has to seek means. And he's seeking those means through technology. This is where it's leading. Anyhow, regarding artificial intelligence, there was a little clip, I believe it was within that series, or could have been another series, where there was a CEO of a Silicon Valley company. I forgot the name of the company. But he was explaining, and he had a very new agey look to him. He was explaining that, yes, they have the main area where they do the programming, the algorithms, and so on and so forth. But they have a separate room where they meditate with hopes and with the intent of contacting the spirits to help them advance, his quotes, advance the future. In other words, these demonic entities that they are contacting, these devils, are actually giving them the code to program the AI. And AI now, if you've noticed, I don't know if you've been keeping track, I do keep track of these things, there's actually an AI-generated, realistic-looking theme park called Lucifer's Theme Park. And I chose not to print out the pictures. I was thinking about showing you the pictures, and I thought about it, no, I don't want to bring this into the church house. As simple as that. I just think we've got to be careful what we bring in, what we allow in here. So I made that decision not to. It's very realistic. It's very satanic. And it's very red. If you've noticed, even with this Sam Smith at the Grammys, and he's done another performance where he's dressed disgustingly, it's all in red. All in red. There's something about that color. Anyhow, one of the big end-time players, I believe, when it comes to technology is Elon Musk. Elon Musk is not the good guy, friends. He's not. He's not the conservative. That's something. And I've seen comments and read comments of supposed conservative, if you will, people who tend to lean more with conservative leanings, not necessarily Christians, although they may claim to be. And they hang on to what Elon Musk says and does, and they put their trust. You know, Elon Musk has recently said he wants to come and buy Canada, literally. I literally read a comment where one gentleman said, "Come, Elon Musk, buy us." No. Anyhow, this article says here, after warning about the dangers with releasing the demon of AI, Elon Musk creates new artificial intelligence company he's calling X.Ai. So he's created a new company dedicated to artificial intelligence, and it's called X.Ai. And I believe artificial intelligence is one of the major players in the end times deception. And one of the, if you look at the book of Revelation, and we will not be there, because I do believe in the pre-tribulation rapture. If you look in the book of Revelation, you notice that there's an increased prominence, if you will, of angelic activity. You have Satan's angels, his devils, his fallen angels, and you have God's angels. Even one in Revelation 14 is proclaiming the everlasting gospel. And I believe God is sending an angel, obviously sending the 144,000. He has the two prophets of God, who I tend to believe are Moses and Elijah, that are also preaching the gospel. They're also preaching the judgment to come, and that the Messiah is coming back to establish his kingdom. They're also able to perform signs and wonders, just like Moses, right? And Aaron there with Pharaoh. And then you've got Jans and Jambres, the magicians, also able to perform lying signs and wonders, right? Miracles. And you've got that with the false prophet and the Antichrist. So all of these things. So I believe that it'll get to the point where the level of deception is so great that people will not be able to discern what is real and what is fake. Right now we're getting very close to that. But we're getting to the point where it'll get to the point where people will no longer be able to discern what is real and what is fake. Hence why you see the increase of signs and wonders. And then, of course, you got God's signs and wonders during that time. Anyhow, Elon Musk says here, Elon Musk for years has warned against the rise of AI, even going so far as to say that because of our dependence on mobile devices, you hear that? And we are dependent on these things now. And we're being brought to a position where we actually need it. You can't live without your mobile device. He says, because of our dependence on mobile devices, we have already become transhuman. That's beyond human. That's what that means, by the way. Human 2.0. He famously said in an interview that AI was releasing the demon, and on many levels, you hear that? That's his quote, by the way, releasing the demon. And on many levels, we say that to be largely true. Sorry, at many levels, we say that to be largely true. Now, Elon Musk throws his hat into the ring with the launch of X.Ai, which no doubt will be tied to his implantable brain chip company, Neuralink. One does wonder, however, if any of this, or indeed all of this, has any connection to his Baphomet Halloween costume. I do not have a picture, but he was dressed as Baphomet, with the upside-down Christian cross. That's what he had. Goes on to say here, back at the dawn of the 20th century, the world seemed to be filled with inventors creating things like the light bulb, the telephone, the automobile, and the skyscraper, all things that made life better, faster, easier, and more prosperous. But here in the opening quarter of the 21st century, everything is dark, mysterious, and foreboding. Ever wonder why that is? The question is asked. Well, tech company Apple makes on a good day $1 billion. You hear that? On a good day. Give or take a few $100,000. $1 billion per day. And yet all of this can be explained when we open the pages of our trusty King James Bible. The world will be able to discern it. We have this book here. Goes on to say here, I'm quite confident that Elon Musk and his X.Ai company will be used to advance the end times timeline. I agree. And he is said to usher in the release of the demons. You understand that? Remember, I preached that message on CERN, where scientists are saying, even the president of the company has gone on record of, or CERN rather, has gone on record saying, our purpose is to open up a portal to contact spirits from the other side. That's what they're doing. On that property, on CERN, they have a statue of Shiva that was donated. Neither male nor female, that's what Shiva is.